console startup screens. Quite literally the first thing you experience when you power on your favorite video game console. A curator of graphics, sounds, and most importantly, vibes. A delightful short thesis surrounding the technology you're about to experience. Some feel neat, satisfying, and to the point, while others are liminal and epic. A true portal into the exciting world of gaming. Many don't realize they exist or mentally glaze over them on their way to smashing buttons. These short but sweet digital experiences are deeply important, yet subtle, in how we experience each of these consoles, brands, and memories. Today, we're going to be focused on Nintendo's startup screens. Many will hear the Nintendo DS noise and gaze into the distance like a meerkat. Some will hear the Switch snap and be transported into the depths of the year 2020. These screens truly take us places. Like the pixelated, sprawling maps of Pokemon's Kanto and Johto regions, the open world of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild, or the many stages of Super Smash Bros. Melee or Ultimate. Welcome to Dansplaining, where I explain the impact of technology on media and popular culture. If you like that sort of thing, please consider liking, subscribing, and checking out the rest of my video library. Let's all press the on button to get started. This is Dansplaining, video game console startup screens. Here we are, floating around in space. A place we'll visit a lot in this video, actually. A little blinking robot drags down a space billboard revealing the Nintendo name and please set disc card. The floppy disks before cartridges. It flashes blue and red, no Porygon, ushering early gamers into a futuristic new world. They were definitely going for a Star Wars intro scroll kind of thing here, with the music sounding like a chip-tuned 80s Saturday morning cartoon like He-Man or Transformers. Then our favorite Italian plumbers, Mario and Luigi, run through and bop the robot, changing the color of the graphics to either green, blue, or red, which are colors we'll see a lot through the years as brand identities for Nintendo consoles. The Nintendo logo slowly but surely drifts down to the center of the screen. Once it hits the center, we hear that piercingly exuberant electronic beep. It sounds like a cartoon spring going off, as the lower tone to higher tone evokes a sense of energetic forward movement. Short, sweet, colorful, and to the point. This was actually my first game console, so it holds a very special place in my heart. Geezers like me remember how remarkably not backlit this thing was, so we'd sit in a sunny window all day or underneath a lamp as this text blazed by, going yellow to red, pink, green, and finally a dark blue, revealing the Game Boy logo with the Nintendo one right beneath. This felt like a digital signature, in a way. Yeah, you're playing a Game Boy Color. Yes, it's like the 5th iteration of Game Boy. Yes, it comes in a ridiculous quantity of drippy colors. We really need to bring back colors that aren't just brand or product collaborations. It was such a signature of this era. If you've got the double-wide N64, or as I call it the Nintendo Thick-64, then you're gonna see this liminal startup screen. Floating up out of a white goo like Baron Harkonnen or something, our delightfully 3D N appears. It goes from a sickly white to its childlike primary colors as the N64 logo type appears above, as well as a date and time. For some reason, the date on this video is 9/11. Anyways, Nintendo scored this screen to sound like an intergalactic starship was taking off into adventure. Followed by optimistic, ethereal twinkling that makes me feel like a bright-eyed anime character smiling gleefully. Then our 3DN plops down, reflecting the hardened goo from which it came. Oh my god, what the heck? It's a Mario! And even better, it's a Mario 64 Mario coming out to say hello. What's up, dude? This one begins with the Nintendo logo on a blank screen. The GBA startup screen is best enjoyed on a Game Boy Advance SP, their first system with a backlit display. And thank God for that, because when the sun went down, we were completely dependent on the worm light. Without it, there would have been no night games. I always felt like this was the waviest of the Nintendo startup screens, in more ways than one. In just a few seconds, the pink text dynamically careens onto the screen, briefly flashing a rainbow of colors before setting into a classy navy blue. The sound of this startup is chiptune at its finest. A flourish of little techie keys, followed by that steezy, iconic gleam. This felt like a beam of light hitting the sunglasses of a really cool anime character. The golden boy of the startup screen extended universe. When I first saw this as a kid, it was pure euphoria, ecstasy, digital joy. The music, led by an energetic xylophone and strings, takes us on a kinetic mini quest. Our hero, the light purple cube, existing in a black void of space, lands from overhead to reveal a peek into a larger, translucent cube. It begins with tumbling 6 times. I guess 6 left turns here make a cube, or a right or a left or something. I don't know. I'm not really good at directions or math. After blazing his path, our cube satisfyingly plops into the larger cube shape, which actually is the GameCube logo. This is a great evolution of a 3D logo, as Nintendo had with the N64 as well, a signal that they've moved into the 3D gaming space for their home consoles going forward. This is where Nintendo startup screens truly peaked. Simple, direct, to the point. The Nintendo DS startup screen exuded an extremely refreshing feeling every time you flipped up that clamshell screen. DS stands for dual screen, which is built smartly into the logo using the O at the end of Nintendo. We see a flurry of these little clear screens appear over the Nintendo and DS logos like water hitting the ground, paired with ethereal echoing piano keys. The Nintendo DS was the first Nintendo console with full backlit display other than the Game Boy Advance SP, so they clearly wanted to show off this graphical capability with a white screen in the background. So being able to show off this bright white background, which wakes up the user with its light, is a wonderful way to introduce young gamers into the dual screen world of touchscreens, styluses blowing into your system, and more. This is the first Nintendo console to start with a health and safety warning. In terms of aesthetics, this is a pretty big letdown. I always figured that Nintendo was taking such a big swing with motion control gaming that showing this screen was a huge warning to their audiences to watch themselves, as a means of avoiding legal conflict. So how many of us actually read the manual here? Anyways, when you press A, as soon as humanly possible, there's a satisfying chirp of a clicking noise that ushers us away from the litigious black screen into the bright white, gray, and blue Frutiger Arrow Wii menu. There's a lot of discourse and nostalgia for this school of design that was popular in the early 2000s, with the Wii leading the pack. While this isn't necessarily a screen that screams Nintendo Wii in giant letters like our other screens, it almost feels like a guide into a meditative state. The ambient music that plays feels like soothing vapors covering your face. It makes you feel like you're floating on a technological little white cloud. Our vibrant, rounded menu is a welcoming, futuristic route into whatever Wii adventure you desire. So, here's the real question. Do you want to go bowling with me? There's not really much to say here. This one's pretty swagless. It's just the Nintendo DS logo with a big red 3 in there. Behind it are pulsing red waves over a dark black background. Design-wise, this is a huge departure from the bright DS and Wii looks people were used to in this generation. It does have some nice ambient music that matches up well with the red background waves. I think my favorite aspect of this screen is the music, which does feel like a delightfully pathetic chillwave motorcycle's motor starting up. In a way, I think the goal of the Nintendo 3DS startup screen was to show off the 3D capabilities of the console, which this doesn't do that great of a job doing in my opinion. The Wii U startup screen begins with a gray Nintendo logo on a white screen that then transitions into the Wii U logo, while more ghostly ambient music plays in the background. The startup screen honestly speaks strongly to why this is one of Nintendo's biggest flops. There was nothing really new or interesting about the Wii U in general. It felt like another slight growth of the Wii, while Sony and Microsoft pushed technological boundaries. Nintendo played it safe and suffered the consequences. The Wii U did not sell well, it was a huge failure, and I think if you're watching this video, you probably know that. So with the failure of the Wii U, the Switch was Nintendo's way of taking a huge risk, and luckily for them, it paid off. No more hospital-like white screens welcoming you into heaven. It was time for a brand new brand color. The Switch logo snapping into place does a great job of selling what makes the Switch so unique. It's a tactile, flexible console you can play anywhere, anytime, and any variety of games. The snapping noise is extremely satisfying when the logo slides down to form a Joy-Con. They've even used snapping as a transition element in their Nintendo Directs over the years. Musically, there's an exciting horn blowing in the background with some energetic, pulsating synths as well. It's like a tiny little orchestra welcoming you to your console. To end this video, I'd like to summarize my thoughts on what makes a good video game console startup screen. Number 1. Always have a central focus or character, like the purple GameCube Cube or Switch Snap. Number 2. Ethereal music always works. It slowly but potently brings you into another world sonically. Number 3, stick to familiar brand colors. Don't get cute with some random stuff that people don't associate with your brand. Use it as an opportunity to upgrade an existing visual identity into the newest changes of the console. And number 4, 5 to 10 seconds is best. It may feel like too long in today's insanely fast-paced world, but I believe it's the best way to fully immerse people into your console. So using all these lessons, I made my very own console startup screen. So here it is. Thank you so much for watching this video. Me and the dansplaining team really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Keep on gaming. I will see you next time. Peace.